Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me today from the Clean Lakes Alliance, first time on the show. Glad to have him here. Founder James Ty, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank gosh, I
thank
got
you.
it right. I'm glad to have you on the show, and glad for all the work that you and the organization have done for the Madison area and surrounding as well. It's great, and I believe in change, and I believe in protecting our waterways. Because I'm an avid fisherman, I like enjoying. I like going out to parks and stuff, and believe in the cause. So. Maybe I'm just a little excited to have you here. But James, tell us a little bit about the organization and how you founded it.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. And, our job really is to educate and get other people to do the work, right? It's not us that's doing the work. Well, we do work. We've done $1.2 million in grants, but our really job is to be a catalyst for cultural change. Before they get into that, do you fish here locally on one of the five lakes?
I do. Yes, and then I also fish Crystal Lake. I've been doing
Yeah.
down in Cambridge. Andrew and I are big fishermen down on Lake Ripley, so we like to get around.
Yeah, I've gone a couple times and going down to Lake Wabisa and muskie fishing with a
Ooh.
guide
I need to
as a
do.
gift to my dad.
I'm
So
working
that's
my
been
way
nice.
up. I'm a
Yeah,
a big bass fisher and northern those sort of things, but definitely going to get down on that eventually.
yeah. So the story of the Clean Lakes Lions is one of sort of everything coming together at the right time. It's truly the ski team that is the basis of where Clean Lakes Lions came from. The ski team, they're on the lake every day during the summer. They're practicing, putting on those shows at Minoa Terrace on Sundays, and they could see the water changing, like really like below their feet, below the skis. And so they wanted to do something about it. They called the thing a Clean Lakes Festival. So the festival came about, and they were raising money for the lakes and for their organization. And we really blossomed out of there. My friend Kim Straka and I were hired by the ski team actually to do PR, marketing, and development for the festival. And we realized that there was such an opportunity to really focus on the lakes and create a 501c3. So on November 8th, 2010, 11 years ago, this coming Monday, we started the Clean Lakes Alliance with a small group of people, some funding from Land's End and Spectrum Brands, and a group of volunteers, some from the ski team, and went out and brought together a board and have grown the organization. I think a lot of people are like, you were mentioning, before we were on talking, is that, well, why is this organization not been around for like 20 years or 30
Right,
years?
right.
Well, the weird thing is, I think, in Madison, we just assume that everything's being taken care of for us. We're the state capital, we're the university, we've got, all these people here that really care about the environment. But really, there was no entity sort of pulling us all together. So our community board is made up of 50 people, nonprofits, corporations, government, individuals that really meet on a regular basis to strategize and how to fit out our vision of the community, which is that everybody truly thinks that the lakes are the true heart of the community. So if you think about that, have you been up to the state capitol grounds lately?
It's been a little while.
But what do they look like?
They're always kept really nice and clean and green and festive.
Yeah, so the state capitol is one of the premier capitals around the country. They've renovated it. They continue to renovate it. They invest in it, and it's pristine. You think about, what about Camp Randall?
Same deal. It's gotten better and better and better.
Right.
It's a staple.
Right. So we want the Madison Lakes to have that same investment, and you wouldn't dare drop a piece of trash on the state capitol lawn, right? You wouldn't dare do anything to Camp Randall to hurt it. Unlike back in the Don Morton days, where students were ripping apart Camp Randall, but that's a different story for a different time. But I think our job is to be a catalyst for change, putting the lakes at the center of the community, and then educating people what they can do to help the lakes. And the problem with our lakes is that they're getting too much phosphorus, right? So phosphorus is an element It comes from leaves. It can come from construction sites. It can come from agriculture. And we need to reduce the amount of phosphorus that's going into the lakes. So 1 pound of phosphorus equals 500 pounds of algae. So it's a huge multiplier effect. And, we've made a lot of progress in the last 10 years, increasing the practices. Agriculture has changed a lot. People now know that leaves in the street are the worst thing they can do for the lakes. As in the conversation, people know about things like zebra mussels and different things like that. But the issue is that we're getting more rain, right? So now this year is an odd year. We didn't get a lot of rain this year. But historically, over the last 10 years, not only are we getting more rain, just keeps on going up, we're also getting more intense rain. These weird isolated things where you can get like an inch or 2 inches in a very short period of time in a very isolated place. And the way we've built out our communities is to move water away from home as fast as possible. I mean, that's like get them away from your house, get away from the church, get off the streets, get into the stormwater system. Well, we need to rethink that, not only for water clarity in the lakes, reducing the amount of soil and sediment and phosphorus and salt from going to lakes, but we need to do that for flooding. So it's a twofer, right? So we want to have our lakes open and enjoyable for fishing and recreation and going to the beach and sailing and sitting at the Union and having a beer. But we also need to do it for flooding because our isthmus, as we know from several years ago, flooded and actually had 2 summers of flooding. So what we need to do is think about how we can get the water to stay on your property, whether that's a church, a farm, the West Town parking lot, anything, and get that water to soak back into the aquifer and go through that natural process of being filtered out and get down to the aquifer versus just flushing into the lakes.
Yeah, and we're having a hard time moving that down the chains too. And that's another different story for another time. As far as the change of clean water and the stuff you have shared there, where's that messaging now? What are things that you guys are doing to even get people to think about changing their habits? And because it's not, again, there will be lots of construction. There's agriculture is a must here in our state, but how do you get people to really break those habits and get thinking on this?
So you can do it, cultural change takes a couple different things. So one, you need education. You need to research. Science is real. We should believe the people from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. So you got education, science, reporting. You need to report progress, and so people can see that we're making progress. There's lots of different things. Money, and money's not any good without the operating income to get the feet on the ground to do more projects. So there are all these different levers that we need to push, and the Clean Lakes Alliance can't do all of them. The City of Madison can't do all of them, but together, collectively, if we're all moving in the right direction, you can make progress, and we have. So basically, the amount of phosphorus in a gallon of water coming into Lake Mendota actually has less phosphorus in it now than it did a decade ago, 20 years ago, and 30 years ago. So the practices going on in agriculture are making a difference. But the problem is now, maybe a couple of years ago, we'd only get 1 gallon. Now we're getting 2 gallons of water. So what that says is what we're doing is working. We just have to do more of it. So that's why the Clean Lakes Alliance brought together 19 organizations, and we signed what's called the Yahara Clean Compact. So think about like the Paris Accord, but for the lakes. So we have been working on coming up with how to renew our effort for more bluer lakes. So in other words, hey, what we're doing is good, but how do we hit the accelerator, right? So how do we do more? So it's sort of like, okay, you are eating a cheeseburger, but now you need to go faster in the treadmill for a longer period of time to burn that off. And so that's what we're doing. We're going to be coming out for next spring with a new set of actions. Those actions will say, hey, this is the best thing for an individual resident to do. This is the best thing for municipalities to do. This is the best thing for our park system to do. This is the best thing for agriculture, because everybody needs to make a difference to reduce phosphorus by half. So basically, the loading to the lakes is just over 110,000 pounds on an annual basis to our 5 lakes. To get it down to that balance point, you have to go on a diet, and the diet is pretty significant, but you can get there. And if you get it down to about 50,000 pounds, the lake can take care of the rest of it itself. There are internal mechanisms in the lake to reduce the amount of phosphorus, just as how several lakes balance themselves out. And so if we get to that point, we're going to have way more days that are clear, also more clarity per foot. And for somebody like myself who grew up in Madison, I was fortunate to spend some time on the lakes growing up when I was a kid. But we want more people to get out into lakes. Now, you might go to the Union one day and they might have, some algae there, but that's because the winds are coming from the north. So go over to Governor Nelson State Park, because I'm telling you, on that day, that park is awesome and clear. And so, it's sort of like a weather forecast. The water sort of moves around, and just because it's not great on one side doesn't mean the other. That's why one of the things that we did is citizen scientists. So we have a thing called lakeforecast.org. We have 70 points on all 5 lakes that are monitored by 103 different people on a regular basis. Wow. They upload it. You can go to lakeforecast.org and download it on Apple or Android for free. And you can get the readings of what beaches are open, which ones are closed, what do these monitors think that week. We hook up to the limnology in Middle Lake Mendota. There's a buoy there that matches everything out. So getting people involved is really important. And those citizen scientists that are regularly testing the lake really create a good backup to show people what's going on.
It's amazing work, and I wish we had more time to dive in deeper into this. But overall, if people do want to get involved with the organization, want to learn more, and follow what you're doing, how can people get involved?
Well, the first thing, just go to cleanlakesalliance.org. You can learn about us, follow us on social media. The biggest thing is there's 10 things that people can do at their homes right now to help the lakes. With that cold front that came in a little bit colder now, the leaves are coming off the get those out of the street. The number one cause from the urban environment is leaves in the street. Those leaves between the curb and the gutter in the street, when you run them over, they're just like a tea bag. That phosphorus pulls right through that and goes right into the lakes. And so that's the biggest thing. But there are 10 other things that people can do. cleanlakesalliance.org or follow us on social media.
All right, James. Well, thank you so much. I know, again, I could pick your brain all day, I think. So
yeah, maybe a topic a month or something like that in the future.
Hey, I'm game if you're game. So
yes.
You have the open invite to come on the show for sure, and we'll look forward to sharing great information. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you for everything that you do for the community.
Here to help. That's what we want to do. All right, we'll take a quick break. More to come. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.